Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you're on a technical team right now, you already know that automation isn't just a nice to have anymore, it's an absolutely essential survival skill. It's literally the secret engine that wipes out repetitive grunt work, speeds up your business operations, and actually frees you up to focus on the creative, strategic tasks that really move the needle. But if you've ever tried to roll out a robust automation strategy, you've almost certainly smacked headfirst into an immediate, super frustrating dilemma. Okay, let's dive into this. For years, the industry has basically backed us into a corner. We've been completely trapped in this endless tug-of-war between two extremes. On one side, you've got platforms that are incredibly easy to use, right? But the absolute second you want to do something even slightly outside the box, you hit a brick wall. On the exact opposite side, you have the total freedom of writing custom code from scratch. Now, that's incredibly powerful, for sure, but undeniably grueling to build and maintain when an API inevitably changes on a Friday afternoon. It really begs the question, why can't we just have both?
Let's break that down. Traditional tools, like Zapier, for instance, are fantastic for quick wins. They give you that simple, visual interface we all love. But they are closed systems. They completely hide their inner workings from you, and they severely limit your customization options. Conversely, if you sit down and write your own Python or JavaScript scripts from scratch, you get total, uncompromised control. But let's be honest, that approach is slow. It takes a massive amount of developer time to build, test, and maintain those scripts, especially as APIs change and systems update. You're constantly forced to sacrifice either your time or your flexibility.
Which brings us to part one, open source automation, and enter n8n. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how n8n completely shatters that compromise we just talked about. It is an open source workflow automation platform that actually gives technical teams the absolute freedom of writing code without ever losing the speed and ease of a visual drag-and-drop interface. And because it's an open source platform, it practically redefines enterprise security. You can self-host it, meaning your highly sensitive data, whether we're talking financial records, patient healthcare data, or proprietary source code, never has to leave your environment. It doesn't pass through some random third-party server. Plus, you are never locked into a single vendor. Thanks to its fair code license, the platform remains totally accessible. And with its extensible architecture, if a feature doesn't exist, you can just build it yourself and even contribute it back to the community.
Part 2, Anatomy of a Workflow. Let's see how n8 actually works. To really understand the power of n8n, we kind of have to look under the hood. The absolute genius of the platform lies in the building blocks of its visual interface, which lets you orchestrate super complex logic just by connecting dots on a canvas. At the heart of everything is the node. Think of a node as a discrete connection representing an app, a system, or a logic function that performs one specific action. Out of the box, n8n supports over 400 integrations. We're talking everything from GitHub and AWS to OpenAI and Telegram. You literally just drag these nodes onto your canvas and snap them together. Suddenly, you're building a highly functional workflow that automates almost anything, bridging totally disparate systems together without having to write a single line of boilerplate code just to authenticate or handle API requests.
Moving on to part 3, building your first automation. Let's build a quick RSS to email workflow. So imagine automating a daily routine that saves you 10 minutes a day. Here is exactly how you'd build a pipeline to fetch the latest posts from your absolute favorite tech blog, format them perfectly, and send them directly to your email inbox while you are literally still sleeping. All in just 4 steps. First, you drop in a scheduled trigger node, setting it to run every single day at 9 a.m. Second, you connect an RSS read node to fetch that blog's feed. Third, and okay, this is where n8's flexibility really shines, you add a function node. Here, you aren't stuck clicking through basic toggles. You can inject a simple JavaScript snippet, like returning items.slice03, just to trim your list down to only the top 3 articles. Finally, step 4, you connect an email node to format the output with some simple variable tags and send it off via Gmail. You map the data visually, hit activate, and boom, your custom news digest runs flawlessly every single morning.
Part 4, taking it to production. Let's talk about cloud deployment.
Getting a workflow running locally on Docker or Node.js is absolutely great for testing. But, when you're building mission-critical automations for your team, you need 100% uptime and total reliability. The source material highlights using a platform as a service like Sevola to achieve this efficiently. Let's move to and see how this builds. The process is incredibly straightforward. You just log in, select their pre-configured n8n template, and hit deploy. In a matter of minutes, the resources are provisioned, you click Visit App, and just like that, you have a production-grade n8n server running on the cloud, fully and completely under your control.
And here is a highly practical detail to note. Sevola actually provides a $50 credit right when you sign up. This means you can provision this super robust enterprise-level self-hosted n8n environment and actually start experimenting with production workloads without incurring any initial out-of-pocket costs. It completely removes the barrier to entry for teams who just want to test the waters of self-hosted automation. Plus, let's be real, there is absolutely nothing quite like the sweet relief of not paying for dormant server time while you figure things out.
Part 5. Scaling up to complex workflows. Because with full access to JavaScript and Python, you truly never outgrow n8n.
So you can build pipelines that monitor Twitter mentions, score those leads, and seamlessly push them right to a CRM. Or development pipelines that automatically trigger cloud deployments the exact second new code is merged into a main branch. But processing static data is one thing. We are officially living in the era of artificial intelligence. So the inevitable question becomes, what actually happens when your automations need to process language, make decisions, and, well, think? This is exactly where n8 introduces its native support for large language models and orchestration frameworks like LangChain.
And this brilliantly illustrates what's possible now. For example, you can visually design a workflow that ingests incoming customer support tickets, passes the raw text to an AI model to generate a really concise summary, automatically determines the urgency, and then routes it directly to the specific Slack channel of the right engineering team. Because n8n allows you to integrate your very own OpenAI API key, or even run local open-source AI models, you are basically letting AI do all the heavy lifting while still maintaining absolute control and security over your proprietary company data.
So the crucial point is perfectly summed up by Manish Shivanandan, who notes, n8n is not just another automation app. It is a complete, open, and developer-friendly platform. It truly bridges the gap. It provides the full transparency of open source, the limitless extensibility of code, and the rapid speed of a visual designer. It completely reframes how we look at our own infrastructure. The main question I want to leave you with today is this. When you no longer have to compromise between the simplicity of a drag-and-drop tool and the ultimate control of writing custom code, what will you build first?